Well, hello, everybody. This is Greg Thompson for Brown Street Station in Chadbourn, and I'm going to be doing a few interviews with some folks from Chadbourn who grew up in Chadbourn and remember some things about Chadbourn that are interesting and fun to talk about. So right now I have on the phone with me one of my very favorite people in the whole wide world, Mr. Keith Blake. Hey, Mr. Blake, how are you?
Hey, Greg. How are you doing?
I'm doing fine. I'm in Florida, and Mr. Blake's in Lake Waccamaw, North Carolina right now. And I want to give a little background on you as far as I know first. Is that all right, Mr. Blake?
Oh, yes.
Well, I've known Mr. Blake my whole life. And as a matter of fact, one of the great things that I really appreciate is that Mr. Blake was one of my Boy Scout masters, and I learned an awful lot and had a great time. And how many years were you a Boy Scout master, Mr. Blake?
13 years.
13 years. Well, I got to do some things and go places and learn things that I don't know if I would have learned that anywhere else, but I learned how to cook and I learned how to take care of places and take care of myself and look after myself. And you were a big part of that. And I want to tell you right off the bat, I appreciate it.
Thank you, Greg.
Yep. Now,
I had a good time also, and I learned a lot also during that time.
I bet you did. I wonder how many Boy Scouts you were Scoutmaster for.
Oh gosh, I don't know. At one time we had 35 boys.
No kidding.
The troop.
Well, we went camping all over the place, from the Green Swamp to Boy Scout camps all over the place.
Oh yeah, we did some exciting things.
We did, and I have to say, Troop 504 was one of the best ones out there.
We thought so.
Yep. Well, let's start right there. I want to bring up somebody that when I started in Boy Scouts, he was one of the other Scout masters, and he became quite a legend in the Boy Scouts around North Carolina, and that was Mr. Wild Bill Miller.
Wild Bill, yes. He was a great friend.
Yeah.
And we were a good team.
You absolutely were. Now, he was a Scoutmaster. You and he were Scoutmasters when I first started, and then he retired from it, and sadly he passed away a little while after that. But he was absolutely a legend in the Boy Scouts of America around North Carolina, wasn't he?
Yes. He was Bill Miller. He was a Scoutmaster long before I started working with him, and he needed help. And of course, what really got me into the Scout troop was, as a Scoutmaster, was William, my son. The age to be a Scout, and so I kind of followed William into the
Scouts. Well, I'm gonna use that, and I'm gonna lead into something that has to do with us talking about Chadbourn, and that was when I joined the Boy Scouts. And if people don't know about the Boy Scouts, you had to get merit badges to move on up into the ranks. You started out as I think the first one was a tenderfoot, and then you would move on up to Eagle Scout. And you had to get merit badges. And the very first merit badge that I ever got was citizenship. And was it the Civitans that sponsored the Scouts, Mr. Blake?
Yes.
And
yes.
So the gentlemen who were in the Civitans, certain ones were in charge of, I don't know if you would do interview or how you would say it, but if you wanted the citizenship badge, like, we had to go to you, and then you would kind of give us a test or question us about things that we had learned that we had to learn in order to get our citizenship merit badge. And the very first one I got was that one, and I had to go interview with you, and you will never know how nervous I was to go sit at your house and you talk to me about making sure that I crossed all the T's and dotted all the I's to get my citizenship merit badge. But I probably learned more about Chadbourn from getting that merit badge than anything else. Now,
well, it was a big deal to boys of that age, and the Civitan Club not only supported us financially, but they also provided the committee that interviewed the scouts and passed on rank and such things as merit badges.
and then we would have a banquet every now and then, and you would receive your merit badges and your awards. And I remember that was a big deal.
Yeah, it was. It was a big deal for Wild Bill and myself too. To see you boys climb the ladder, and we had. I wish I knew how many Eagle Scouts we had, but I don't remember. But of course, that was the ultimate goal of scouting. But even those boys that didn't get to Eagle, it was they accomplished a lot.
Absolutely. I did not get to make it to Eagle because about the time I hit 14, I started a clogging team, and I had so many irons in the fire that I had to make a choice. And that was one of the toughest choices of my life, that I either could be in Boy Scouts or have a clogging team. And I wanted to do both so bad. But I chose clogging, but I'll tell you what, I will not trade those years as a Boy Scout for anything.
Well, your choice ultimately led you into, I think, where you are today.
I think so, and I took everything that I learned in Boy Scouts along with me. And so many times, Mr. Blake, I have said, when somebody said, "You know how to do so and so," I said, "I was in the Boy Scouts." No, I'm gonna go ahead.
I still use a lot of the rope tying and knots to this day, and working.
Well, I don't think I have paddled a canoe since I've been in the Boy Scouts, but I still remember how to do it.
Oh, we after after the Boy Scouts, we had a senior citizens, we called them. All of us were over maybe 65. We had a canoeing group.
Oh, no kidding.
Of about, I don't know, I guess at times it was up to 15 men. Robert Shaw and Ward Shaw, myself, Robert Yates, Milton Blake. I can't even remember the whole group, but we we canoed down the Waccamaw River all the way to ultimately in that big water before you get to Georgetown.
No kidding.
And then we also went from Boardman to the little PD.
No kidding. Well, please tell me you did.
River down to the little PD.
Please tell me you had two men in a boat.
Do what?
And please tell me that you had two people in each one at least.
Oh, we did. We did.
Well, I'm gonna.
I've still got the canoe.
Oh, no kidding.
That we used down here at the lake.
No kidding. Well, I'm gonna mention one thing, and then I want to move into some stuff about Chadbourn. But I did make it into the Order of the Arrow, so that was quite an accomplishment. And I'm very proud of that. So, yeah.
Well, I'm on the home phone and somebody's trying to call.
Oh, okay. All right. I was just saying that one of the things that I did accomplish is that I made it into the Order of the Arrow, and I'm very proud of that.
Yes, that is an accomplishment. That is and I did as an adult.
Did you have to go through the initiation and everything?
I did.
Did you? I'm not going to give out too many secrets of the Order of the Arrow, but did you end up with any notches on your arrow?
No, I didn't.
I got two. I got two. I spoke out of turn a couple of times. I have been known to talk a little bit in my life, so I think I couldn't help it.
I know.
Well, I want to move into, let's talk about Chadbourn a little bit. And I'm going to go back to some things that I remember that I learned in getting my citizenship merit badge with you. And one of the things that I always thought was so interesting is that Chadbourn is known for the strawberry industry and, of course, later on the tobacco industry. But Chadbourn did not start out as a strawberry mecca. It was known for its turpentine, right?
Yes, it was for the lumber and turpentine. The longleaf pine was the native pine, and the turpentine was gathered for naval stores. It was used in many ways. I don't believe those needs are here anymore, but the tree was tapped for the turpentine, and eventually the tree would die. It couldn't sustain losing all of that turpentine. So after it died, then they would cut the tree for lumber, and the lumber. Well, I don't know where all of the sawmills were at that time, but I know that there was a large sawmill at Hallsboro, because the home that I was born in was built out of lumber from the longleaf pines.
No kidding. Now there was a turpentine distillery around Peacocks. Is that right?
Oh, there were at Peacocks and on where the Lewis House stands now. There was one there.
No kidding, right by the railroad tracks.
Yeah, and there was all of this is written down in a history of Chadbourn.
Now I just went through.
There were also 2 or 3 more. I think that there was one at Grice.
I believe you're right. I believe I've read that before. Now, speaking of reading, I just read Chadbourn and Her Sunny South Colony. I remember that book when I was a teenager, and I got another copy of it recently, and I read through it again, and that was written by Mr. Stroll. Yeah. And he recounted a lot of things that I had just never thought of, like, I don't know if it was a horse and wagon or a mule and wagon, but they would go take that thing down to Myrtle Beach and stay a while.
Yeah, I remember reading that, and on the way back, they spent the night in a barn where sheep had been, and they got a good dose of fleas.
Yeah. Now you talk about the house that you were born in was made from that timber from there. Now, where was that house located?
It's the house where Lisa lives now.
Oh, no kidding.
Yeah, my father, J.R. Blake or Bob Blake. He had merchants uptown, but he came back to the farm, closed his store, and came back to the farm. It's where my grandfather also lived, and they moved the house where my grandfather lived, and he built that house in the same location. But they cut the trees that had died, or I guess they had died. But anyway, they cut trees, longleaf pines, and loaded them on the railroad, sent them to Hallsboro, had lumber sawed, brought it back, and built the house. And some years ago, I remodeled that house, and I never found a piece of wood or lumber in the house that didn't have a heart pine, the heart of the tree in it. So Daddy selected the very best lumber to build that house out of.
Do you remember what year that house was built in?
It was about 1925.
About 1925. Now, let me ask you this, and this is up to you if you want to answer it or not, but do you want to share with everybody what year you were born in?
1927.
1927. So that house was 2 years old when you were born.
Yeah.
Yeah. Now I'm going to go back because as you know, and everybody knows, everybody I can tell, I bought some property in Chadbourn, and Lisa bought some property in that same set of buildings that was originally built, I guess, as 5 stores. Do you let's see? So that would have been, those were built the same year you were born, I believe.
That's very.
I believe they were built in 1927. Now, a lot of the stores in downtown Chadbourn were not made out of brick at that time, and they were made of wood. And the last one that I remember is Boyette's Grocery, and it was torn down, I believe, in the late 70s or the early 80s.
Yeah. Frankly, that's the only. Well. That is just about the only one, not, lumber, that I ever remember, all except the Jolly Stables.
Now, where was Jolly Stables?
It was where the pawn shop is now,
okay.
and the little insurance building.
Now, I don't know what the timeline is, but I know that Cindy's Country Kitchen at one point, and I just found this out, was a movie theater. Do you remember that movie theater?
Oh, well, I really remember that. That was built and owned by Ms. Derrick. She was wife with the school principal in Chadbourn. And she was quite a business lady. lady, she also owned not only the theater, but she owned Derek's Pharmacy.
Oh, no kidding.
Which was in the building that is now the music.
The music store?
Yeah.
Okay. Well, cool.
Five is music across.
Right across from us. Yeah. Well, now apparently, because when Donald and Cindy Neely went in there and remodeled, there's a big burn spot on the brick on the inside. And I love how they exposed all that brick and everything. But do you remember when it caught on fire?
No, I don't.
There seems to be a big burn spot in there, and I didn't know if that was the end of the theater or what happened to it.
I think what you're seeing there is where the balcony was above at the street entrance.
Yes, it's up near the front. Yeah.
When you walked into the lobby, there was an upstairs balcony that you climbed the stairs to, and also the projection booth was up there.
Okay.
And I think that is what that's what you're seeing.
Is that's what we're seeing on there? I just assumed it was a burn spot. I hadn't heard that. I just made an assumption.
I don't remember any fire.
And I believe that's something that everybody would remember had there actually been one.
Yeah, I think so.
Now, the building that I've got there on the end is actually it's two buildings, three if you include the barbershop. But two of them, as far back as I can remember, was a Dixie Farm Supply. But I don't know what it was before then. Do you recall what it might have been before the Dixie Farm Supply?
Not that particular building. The part, the store on the corner was. I go back. My memory is Teal Goodman, who was a retired agriculture teacher. He taught me agriculture. He had a Western Auto in the corner.
Oh, no kidding.
Building there. And then, of course, the barbershop, which was Lamar Huffam.
Right.
My first cousin.
Oh, no kidding.
One of the barbers in there. The other was George Edwards' father, Otto Edwards.
Well, that's pretty cool.
They were in that barbershop.
Well, I just replaced what it seems like forever. Well, I just replaced the window and repaired the door on that, and so that building is still operational. And I've put some curtains up in there and made it look a little better. And we restored the hole that was in the wall where the air conditioner was. But we got that building back up to par right now.
It looks good.
Well, thank you.
It looks very good.
Well, thank you. I appreciate that. Now, was it your father that had that had a general store there? I think Lisa's told me something about that.
It was toward the railroad on Brown Street in that first block. If you're going from the stoplight back to the railroad, his general store was on the right in the middle of that block.
Now, I understand he sold a little bit of everything in there.
Yeah, he had a favorite saying that he sold everything from candy to coffins.
That's
At one time, he was the local undertaker.
So he had it covered 9 ways to Sunday on that one.
Yeah, he did everything.
Uh-huh. Now I'm glad that the railroad is back up and running in Chadbourn, but the railroad was a major part of Chadbourn's commerce or industry, or however you want to say it. What do you remember about the railroad coming through Chadbourn? Just your general thoughts about it.
Well, it was a junction of the Atlantic coastline. One line ran from Wilmington to Florence, and the other line that crossed it in Chadbourn, it went to I started to say Myrtle Beach, but it did Conway.
Conway,
Conway. I can't think of where the name of the little place where it ended, but it went through Daddy's farm.
Mm-hmm.
And so twice a day we had a train to come through the farm, and of course it was like a steam engine at that time, and of course it also crossed the highway, Highway 76.
Mm-hmm.
Ran through our farm.
I guess it would have, yeah.
And so it would blow its whistle a long ways, trying to let the cars know that it was coming. And so we could set our clock by the train.
No kidding.
And of course, I remember there were wrecks where on the highway where the train would crash into a car or a truck, and so I remember several bad acts.
You think they would have heard that whistle a ways down the road?
Well, I remember up toward town on 76 was a junction of 74, 76. Coming from Wilmington, it was 74, 76, but then it forked right above our farm,
mm-hmm.
our home, and 74 went to Lumberton and 76 went to Florence. And in the center of that junction was the first filling station, gasoline filling station. As a matter of fact, I have been told that it was the only filling station at one time between Wilmington and Florence.
Oh, no kidding.
The name of it was Wayside Service Station.
Wayside.
And there was a group of crowd of men. I don't remember how many, but the car was full of men that had been, shall we say, in the suds too much.
Yes, sir.
And they left the filling station. And in this particular time, I was dragging tobacco, if you know.
Hold on one. Yeah, yeah, absolutely. I know what dragging the bag is, even though I never actually worked on a drag. And fortunately
Yeah.
for me, by the time I got old enough, they had harvesters. But anyway, you were working on a drag.
That was bringing the tobacco from the field to the barn to be hung. But I happened to be at the road, and here comes the train from Chadbourn, and here comes that car that had left the Wayside service station. Well, it was it was obvious that they intended to beat that train across the crossing. And so I just stood there and watched, and they didn't make it. And the train just scattered the car and the occupants down the railroad. It was quite a scene.
That was horrific.
But that was just one of the occurrences that I can remember with the railroad.
No kid. Now, if that track ran through your farm, that must have been very tempting for you as a young man to not to play on the tracks, because I know it was for me. We hung out at the trestle all the time. Were you ever instructed to stay off those tracks?
Oh, all the time. But we also had a trestle.
Oh, did you?
Yeah. Just down from the highway toward Evergreen. There was a trestle.
Was that a gathering spot for hey, meet me down at the trestle?
The water was deep enough. People swam.
No kidding.
Yeah. It was the only place that they had.
Wow.
And I remember we would put things on the railroad for the rain for the train
to run over,
to match them flat and make their different shapes.
Yeah, put pennies on the railroad track.
Yeah, and other objects.
Yeah, I've put a few pennies on the railroad tracks with Billy Peel before. So
I would walk down the railroad tracks every Saturday to town for the matinee at the theater. I saw every cowboy movie and the Green Hornet.
Oh, no kidding.
I can't even remember all.
Do you remember what the admission was to get into the theater?
No, and let me explain why. Miss Derrick asked Daddy if she could put a sign advertising the shows at the theater for the week across the road from the Wayside service station. And so he said, well, yes, and she wanted to know, how much he would rent her the space for it. Well, he said, you can just put it there. I'm not going to charge you anything. And so she insisted. Well, he insisted that he wouldn't. So she says, well, in that case, Ann, my sister, and Keith can go to the movies free.
No kidding.
So I never knew, really.
what they charged.
Yeah. So every, especially every Wednesday afternoon when I wasn't in school, and on Saturday afternoon, I spent the time in the theater.
No kidding.
And I would just walk down the railroad tracks
Uh-huh.
from the house to town, which was just a short piece.
Yeah. So y'all farmed tobacco, which a lot of people around there did. And I want to mention real quick, because you mentioned a tobacco drag. That they were literally drags. They dragged them across the ground. That's how they got their name, because they didn't have wheels on them, right?
That's right. That was why that was the name, tobacco drag. And you just drug it across. The mule did.
It was like a sled.
Yeah.
Now
well, let's say this. Tobacco was after the strawberries.
Right.
And for many years, Daddy only grew strawberries.
Oh, no kidding.
This is no exaggeration. I have gotten up, I can remember as a small child, of getting up, and they were already picking strawberries, and as many as 50, 75 people picking strawberries in the field. And Daddy was one of, I think he was one of 6 that contracted with the railroad to fill a railroad car with strawberries for shipment every day.
Every day?
Every day.
Do you?
And so that's a lot of strawberries.
I was going to say, that's a lot of strawberries. Do you remember how many acres he had?
Oh gosh, there was. I'm gonna guess it. Probably 15. I'm gonna guess it 15 acres.
That's a lot of strawberries.
It is a lot, and it takes a lot of stoop labor.
Yep.
To gather them.
I remember when I was little, I begged Daddy, because of the strawberry festival, begged Daddy to let us have strawberries. Please plant some strawberries. And he planted a half an acre, and I did everything I could in my power to get out of picking strawberries.
Well, it was really it was a big business. There was, of course, at that time, you either carried the strawberries on a mule and wagon, or in Daddy's case, he hauled them on a trailer pull with the car.
Now, how long does, because I've thought about this many times, and I'm like, strawberries were such a huge deal, especially around Chadbourn, and so many strawberries came out of Chadbourn, but the strawberry season is not really long, is it?
No, it's not just a few weeks. I would say not over 6 weeks.
That's about what I was thinking. So in that 6-week period, a lot of strawberries came out of Chadbourn every day, and I can't believe y'all were one of 6 that was in charge of filling a a train car. That's a lot.
Yeah, it was. Now, he didn't do that year after year after year.
Uh-huh.
But in the early days, he was one of the largest growers of strawberries. And there was, I don't know what I can, the strawberry auction shed, do you know where it was?
I remember there was a platform there at the railroad tracks. That's the only one I remember. There was one, it seemed like there was one on either side, one right next to MacArthur Supply where it is now. But I know it was somewhere around the railroad tracks.
Yeah, it was across from MacArthur's Hardware, not directly in front, but a little to the left. And
Okay.
it was between the railroad tracks.
Right in between them.
Mm-hmm. And they were strawberry lines, people waiting to go through the auction shed in 3 different directions there. Coming from Tabor City, coming from Grice, and through the middle of Brown Street.
No kid.
And they would converge there on Brown Street, and then go to there was a double line there at the auction shed.
Mm-hmm.
And you would pull in there, and the buyers would start bidding on strawberries, and it was quite a exciting time.
Well, it was because of that time that Chadbourn was dubbed back then the strawberry capital of the world.
Yes, it was.
I want to tell you a quick story, and then we're going to wrap it up here. But I was, and this is kind of a little tie-in with you, because I remember talking to you. I worked on a cruise ship out of San Diego, and I talked to you, and you said that you were watching the ship leave, and I was like, I was on that ship when you told me you were there. I don't know if you remember that story or not. But,
yes, I do.
Yeah.
I do. Matter of fact, we were down in also in Baja, what do you call it, Baja, Mexico.
Uh-huh.
And I'm pretty sure that was the same ship. Did you go south?
I did go south. We went to Cabo San Lucas, Mazatlan, and Puerto Vallarta.
Yeah, and right along at that point, the ship is very close to the shore.
It is. Uh-huh.
So
and you had no idea I was on it.
No, I probably would have tried to get on the ship if I had known it.
Well, while I was on that ship, I was I had to give tours every now and then. I would give a tour from the bridge, and somebody asked me while I was on tour. They said, "Well, Greg, where are you from?" And I said, "Well, I live in Florida, but I'm from a small town in North Carolina." And they said, "What's the name of it?" And I said, "Well, the name of it's Chadbourn." And they said, "You mean the strawberry capital of the world?" And I said, "Now, how did you know that?" And they said, "Well, everybody knows that." And I don't remember where they were from or anything, but it just blew me away. I just stopped in my tracks and said, "You know of Chadbourn?" "Oh, yeah, strawberry capital, sure."
Well, while we were there, we were outside the hotel one afternoon, and this tour bus pulls up to the side of the hotel, and it was from North Carolina.
Huh.
And so Elaine says, "I'm going over there and see if I know anybody on that tour bus." I said, "You're not going to know anybody on that tour bus." "Well, I'm going to see." So she went over there, Well, by gosh, she knew 4 people.
No kidding. You just
Well, that was a great one of our favorite trips.
no kidding.
San Diego is a beautiful.
It really is. It really is.
And it's such a big little town. If
right now,
you know, it's.
I've got several stories. I'm gonna share this one with you too. Like I said, we could sit here and talk all day. But my brother, you know, Mike, my brother was doing a show out at Disney called the Hoop-de-Doo Review, and there's a part in the show where they go out in the audience, and he walked out in the audience, and there was a group of people there, and he said, "Where are you folks from?" And they said, "Oh, little town in North Carolina you never heard of before." And he said, "Well, try me." And they said, the guy said, "Well, we're from Tabor City, North Carolina." And Mike said, "Well, I'm from Chadbourn." And the guy turned around and said, "Do you know Greg Thompson?"
It's a small world.
It really is.
You can't get away with anything anymore.
That's true. Well, Mr. Blake, I appreciate you talking with me today and going through some things about Chadbourn and reminiscing with me. And I just want to tell you again that you and Miss Elaine are 2 of my favorite people in the whole wide world, and I appreciate you talking with me today.
Well, you are ours, Greg, and I appreciate you having this opportunity to talk with you and reminisce about some. As you say, we could talk the rest of the day.
We could.
we have to stop somewhere.
We do. Well, I appreciate.
Maybe we can do it again sometime.
I certainly hope so, and I hope to see y'all sometime when I get back to Chadbourn, and maybe when this whole COVID thing is over, we can all get together and get a bite to eat sometime.
We're going to do that. We're going to do that. We just got to be patient.
That's it. Well, listen, y'all take care, and I'll talk to you later, okay?
Thank you, Greg.
All right, thank you. Take care.
You too.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
That was Mr. Keith Blake from Chadbourn. He lives at Lake Waccamaw now with his wife, Miss Elaine, and I grew up knowing them with their kids, Lisa and William, and this is the first of some interviews that I'm going to be doing with some folks from Chadbourn that remember some things that maybe I don't, and I'd love to hear about. But anyway, you guys take care. Thanks for joining me, and we'll catch you next time. In the meantime, have a good day, and bless your heart in the good way.